Your wealth makes you an irresistible target to online criminals. According to Santos Wealth, 41% of high net worth individuals report having been victims of financial crime. Unfortunately, off-the-shelf digital security solutions aren't robust enough to protect high-profile individuals like you. So what can you do? Rely on Concierge Digital Security from Reputation Defender. Concierge Digital Security is not just another app to install, it's a team of experts working in the background to protect you and your family. Behind the scenes, Reputation Defender bundles a suite of best-in-class security solutions covering virtually every aspect of your digital life, from digital identity to online privacy, identity fraud, insurance, and home device protection. Your concierge helps manage all of these for you. Visit reputationdefender.com/success to learn more or schedule your private consultation. That's reputationdefender.com/success.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, the Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.
What's up, good people? BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. The latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Back on the Bossman Show with Rick Santos, New Hampshire Wildcats, been on the Bossman Show out of CAA. Rick, gonna talk to you, man. How things up there in New Hampshire, man?
Things couldn't be better, man. I appreciate you having me back on. Yeah, excited to talk.
No doubt, man. Glad to have you, man. Last year, man, 9-win season. 9-4 up there, man. To the playoffs, man. So, how happy were you? I know you wanted to go farther, but looking back on it, getting 9 wins into the playoffs, man. How did it make you feel as you reflect on last year and build on it for this year?
Yeah, it's always tough when you lose the last one, and at our level, you look at it. There's no bowl games, right? So it's really one team. The team that wins a national championship is the only team that ultimately feels as good as you possibly can about your season. But I think we made some strides, we made some progress. Where we were picked preseason, about 9th or so, to be co-champs and to get to 9 wins. I definitely think it was a success. You got to give a lot of credit to the seniors and the upperclassmen, a lot of the hardship that they went through to get to that point. A couple losing years in a row. Obviously they all came in and wanted to play for Coach McDonald, going through COVID, going through his sickness, and then through the transition phase. And a lot of those guys, had the ability to hit the transfer portal, to leave, to get out of there. It's just way more easy these days to jump ship when things get hard, but they didn't. They all vied. They wanted to stay and make sure we got that thing turned around. And I just couldn't be more grateful for those guys and all the effort they put in. And we certainly reaped a lot of those rewards.
100%. And now going to year 3, what would you say the biggest difference in your program is now from year 1 to year 2 down to going to year 3? What's been the big difference in your mind, Rick, from what you've seen as this program grows under you at the helm?
Yeah, I think for us, it's just continuing to redefine ourselves every single year. We can't look back on some of the success we've had last year. I think it's going to be a new crop of young men. It's going to be different challenges ahead. And, for us, I think it's just leaning on our core values, making sure that, we continue to work at it every single day. I think for myself personally, it's just once you go through it, you have a whole cycle. Now you have different things that you can lean back on. I think the first year is always the hardest. You're putting different systems in place. You're kind of cataloging your entire year and putting the coach's manual together and all the different things that work well and subsequently the things that didn't work well, right? So I think the good thing is, we have, both of our coordinators are back. We lost some really good assistant coaches, but I think some of the guys that were helping make some programmatic decisions are back for us, which is really good. And, just continue to kind of forge this program into the future.
No doubt. Like you said, man, I think that's kind of the gift and the curse of success. Guys get more than on their jobs. You're happy for them, but it's also you got to replenish those guys. But luckily, there are guys in the fold who know how you work, know how you operate. So that's always good. And I feel like continuity on staff, for having guys who know how things are done on staff is very important to keeping the program rolling in the right direction at all times.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I mean, I think there's so much detail and the intricacies that go into this game. I think that the average fan, don't realize in terms of game planning and all the technical, analysis that our coaches are doing. So, there's 110 young men on our roster. And a lot of that, the workload falls on the shoulders of our assistant coaches. And I give those guys so much credit and how detailed they were last year in their process and how hard they worked to build meaningful relationships with the young men in our program. So those guys were pivotal part of our success, a huge reason why, we were able to do some of the things we did last year. So, inevitably it's my job to get out of the way and not screw it up. Just cultivate an environment where our guys' voices can be heard. They feel like everybody has a say. Everybody's kind of, making sure that we're steering the ship in the same direction.
And Rick, I talked about this last week on the show with the fans. It's like it's the one guy in the program that's very important. He's the guys more than you do. That's just the strength coach. Talk about how important having a good strength coach who can handle things. Sometimes things don't even get to you. They can handle it on their end, but they give the guys their time. The father, the teacher, the counselor for the young men. They see it more than you see the guys. About how important it is having a good strength guy with good relationships with young men and to help the program not have things go haywire, because those guys are very important as a stopgap for you guys.
No, it's everything. It's everything. And Coach Paul Chapman has been with us for over 2 decades. He actually came in the year before I got here as a student athlete. I think he got in early 2000s. So he's done a great job. He's won a lot of football games with us, won a lot of championships. And I think the thing with him, he's very disciplined in his approach. He does a great job holding the young men accountable. And to your point, recruiting never ends for us. So, you look at kind of how the cycle goes. Obviously, we're with them all fall camp, all season. And then when the season ends, we're hitting the road, we're doing official visits, we're on the road, doing home visits, all those things. So when the guys get back for that spring semester, he's the one that's kind of setting the tone early with them, and he's with them for a few weeks before we get back off the road. And then obviously, the coaches hop back in and we kind of get together and do stuff together for that whole semester. But then, you fast forward to this time of year, we're on the road, we're going to camps, we're doing a bunch of different things. So the summer is such a huge part of our development. They're getting bigger, faster, stronger. The injury prevention part of it is so key. So, he's basically the head coach, when I'm away. So I really got to give credit to Coach Chapman and his staff. And he's a huge reason why we continue to have a lot of success here in New Hampshire.
No doubt. And I remember my strength coach is very important to me, man. He was the guy who stopped a lot of issues for us, Tennessee State. I know that for sure. A lot of things did not get to the head coach. He stopped before he got to the head coach and solved a lot of problems. He was we call him the problem solver back when I played at Tennessee State.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, you're that guy too. You have to, like you said, you got to be a father figure. You got to be a disciplinarian. You have to be technical in your approach to make sure the guys know you're getting better. But also, it's someone that the guys can rely on and they feel like they can confide in and truly build those meaningful relationships. And we have that with Paul Chapman, which is tremendous.
100%. And then Rick, let me ask you this, man. I feel like whether it's colder up there, man. Do you feel like the fact that you all train in that weather is when it's cold, when Coach Tapper does for your guys, that you can beat guys late in the year because you've trained and you're used to the cold weather cows to it. Some guys aren't even used to. Do you feel like that gives you advantage as well? Because I know for us, when we played cold weather teams, we were in trouble because training in the South, we're not used to. You know, we're used to the heat, but the cold gave us a problem. I think it's the best for you guys being late in the year.
No, there's no doubt about it. I think that was something that we always had in place when I was a student athlete, assistant coach under Coach McDonald. Is in the off season, we train at 6 a.m. So even when we're in our indoor track, the guys are getting up at 5. They're walking up Main Street. It's snowy. It's cold. It's in the teens. It's windy. Those are hard conditions to get up to and get acclimated with. And then, when we do spring practice, it's at 6 a.m. as well. And even though it's in March, this year, if we had 15 practices, I bet you 10 of them were 30 and below that early. So, we talk about doing hard things. We got this phrase from the Navy SEALs. They talk about full benefit and basically kind of embracing the suck and doing really hard things over and over again until you kind of callous your mind, become mentally and physically tough. And I think when you do those things over and over again, I think it's only going to allow you to be more resilient and more gritty as adversity hits. And we know that Neville is going to do that in the middle of a season. And then to your original point, like we talked about those things earlier, like, hey, if we want to be a team, our goal is to be a top 8 team this year and to get a seed, and hopefully the national championships runs through Durham. It's going to be cold in December and hopefully beyond if we have that ability. And if not, and we're fortunate enough to make the playoffs or we're not a seed, well, guess what, we're probably traveling out to Montana, to the Dakotas, to one of those things where the road to Frisco has led the last decade or so, right? So you understand you got to be able to play in these inclement games.
And also the third phase of the game, the special teams, the wind factor, because when we played up north, the wind was like a little different. So even on the punt returns, kick returns, we had to play the wind sometimes. Not really like, hey, you got to take the wind. Win the fourth quarter. So it's like that's the element playing up in New Hampshire that people realize having the third phase of the game, to throw the football, you've been a quarterback. The wind is a very much factor.
Oh, there's no question, boss man. I mean, Durham's a wind tunnel. And I think that's maybe a competitive advantage we've had at home, in particular, middle to back part of the year. It's always windy up there. It's always a little bit colder. So our guys definitely get used to that. The kick and punt returners, we're practicing all the time. We'll make it hard on those guys. We'll switch it, mid-practice, whether they're catching into it or catching away from it, just to get the different ways that the ball is going to spin and all that stuff. And, our special teams coordinator, Garrett McLaughlin, does a really good job doing some different drills to get those guys prepared for it. So there's no doubt that I think that's part of our competitive advantage, especially at home.
100%, man. I Ricky, much as I hate the cold, I like watching the football in the cold because it's those elements to it, man. It makes it so interesting seeing how the coaches decide to play that puzzle when I want to win, do I go against the wind. So I love that part about the game that later. Now I don't want to play it, of course. I love to watch.
There's so much strategy that goes into it. You know what I mean? And especially that we were fortunate last year where, we were pretty balanced offensively in terms of run pass. So, under the tutelage of Coach Brian Scott, our offensive coordinator, he's done some really good things where he's been in an air raid system and he coached Tyler Henneke and some really good things. They throw it 60 times a game. And then conversely, to flip it on his head last year, we were more pro style. We were leaning on Dylan Lobby. We wanted to kind of win the games ugly and win the time possession battle. So the good thing is we're kind of built more so than we have been in the past where, if we have to, go against the wind and we got to pack it in, 12 personnel, extra tight ends, run the rock a little bit until we get the win. We kind of have the ability to do that. So I definitely think that was part of our strategy too. We wanted to make sure we were resilient in those tough weather games.
And Rick, I also saw when you all won a lot of close games last year, which tells me your teams was dialed in, because you and I both know this. In the fourth quarter is when the games really matter. You have to really execute your scheme and your plan and be on top of things. That's where the film study that we do all week long comes in, because a lot of times, there's sometimes teams say stuff for the fourth quarter to bust you with. And so having your guys make sure they've been watching their film, been knowing their keys, man. You all won a lot of close games last year. I want you to emphasize during the week about being very detailed, because we all know The games are going to be coming down to the wire. And so whoever has the most mental capacity, who's more prepared mentally, know what they're looking for to win that game.
There's no question. First and foremost, we kind of tell our guys all the time is, we don't necessarily believe in being clutch. We believe in kind of taking advantage of the next moment, right? Whether that's the first play or the last play. If you have that same mindset, that same approach, you're going to be able to kind of have competitive greatness in those defining moments. But at the same time, we do make sure that like we have this mental switch where we do during practice, whether it's 1 or 2 periods left, and Coach Mack used to do this all the time where I love it. We'd bring them up. I give them a minute pep talk, kind of visualize yourself. Hey, this is the fourth quarter. This is kind of going into those game winning drives. Put yourself in that, where I think those kind of discipline and defining moments type of thing we always talk about is like, you got to bear down now. Those mental mistakes are going to cost you games. We always throw the 4s up at the end of every practice. We 1, 2, 3, we yell finish. And it's that mental reset where every single practice we're saying, okay, this is a game-winning drive. This is the beginning of the fourth quarter. Certain situations that are inevitably going to show up on game day, we want our guys to mentally rehearse that throughout the week. So when they get in those situations, it's kind of a switch that just flips and they're ready for it and they've practiced and, all the different scenarios between last plays, last minute field goals with no timeout, all those things situationally, we're going to practice throughout the week as well. So inevitably, you have those go-to calls when the game's on the line and the guys understand situationally what exactly, they need to expect.
No doubt, Rick. I saw your non-conference schedule, man. You got Stonehill, Central Michigan, and Dartmouth, man. It's a tough non-conference for getting that CAA play, man. So talk about those 3 games and so that you're going to play for you getting that tough league of yours, man. Prepare you for that gauntlet you got coming up there in CAA.
No, there's no doubt. Start with Stonehill. We got a home and home with them. We're going away this year. Coach Gardner's done a tremendous job, after studying them, the last month or so, getting ahead on some game plan stuff. And he's been there for a while. He's transitioned them up, obviously, to the Division I ranks. I think I saw they were picked preseason number 3 in their conference. So I think it shows how impressive they really are, even though there's not even fully funded kind of scholarship-wise. I think that's a trap game for us where, on paper, it looks like it's a game you should be able to win, but I think it's going to be one of the biggest games in their program history. They're extremely well coached. They're disciplined. Those guys fly around. They're tough. They're chippy. So, I think for us, we got to make sure that we're extremely dialed in when we go into that game. Then obviously, you get your Division I game in, Central Michigan. And I think looking back on last year, we weren't ready. We weren't ready for the bright lights against Western Michigan. They got on us early. We were down 21-0 before you could blink an eye. And then I think our guys settled in. We actually played a pretty spirited second half. But for us, that's going to be all about kind of fast start, weather the storm early, make it close in the fourth, and then anything can happen. And then obviously Dartmouth, that interstate, rivalry that we renewed last year. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Buddy Tevens, and I hope he's doing okay. I mean, God willing, he gets through this thing okay. And that was just a tragic situation for him. But that's always been a game, even as a player and a student athlete, that it doesn't matter that, there's no love loss against UNH Dartmouth, and that's going to be a battle. And it certainly was a contested contest last year. So we're excited about those 3 contests.
Rick, I thank you for your time this morning, man. I hope you guys do have a great year. I'll talk to you down the road, man. I hope you're having a wonderful year, man. Talk to you for the playoffs again, man. I'll be cheering for you. I'll enjoy our chance to do this again real soon, man.
Can't wait. Appreciate you, boss man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Rick. You be safe, buddy. Have a great summer, man.
Okay, take care.
All right.
Bye.
What's up, good people? BetOnline is your number 1 source for all your betting needs. The latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.